Welcome everyone to our Wednesday mastermind session. It's called Attraction in Action. And I love that word action, right? So every week I'm going to pull in somebody who's just out there killing it, crushing it, building a sustainable revenue share organization. And I could think of none better other than my friend Elizabeth Riley. She happens to be in the same city, Austin, Texas, with me. And in fact, we're going to get together for an EXP happy hour here coming up in the next week, right? Next Tuesday. Yes.
Last Tuesday of the month. Is that next Tuesday? Possibly, yes. I take 1 hour
Probably.
at a time, Sean. That's
1 hour at a time. You said that to me yesterday, and I love it.
Yeah. It's
1
next
hour
week.
at a time, and I focus that 1 hour, and then I take the next hour and the next hour, and I think that's brilliant. So, Elizabeth, you built a sizable and sustainable revenue share organization, DXP. We're going to get into that. Yet before we do, I just want to let these guys get to know you a little bit. I mean, tell us the story. How'd you get into real estate? Where did you start? Oh, and by the way, how did you learn about EXP? And what made you make the decision to come over to EXP? Go ahead and share the story.
Awesome. Well, good morning. This is so much fun. I'm very honored that Sean asked me to hang out with y'all for a bit. So I'm Elizabeth Riley. I'm in Austin, Texas. And yeah, my story is a little bit different because, you know, there's so many people that just had this burning desire to be in real estate. And that was definitely not my story at all. I was in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, with my husband's job. And we were investors. We went to see our CPA one time, and our CPA said, one of you needs to get your real estate license because you're losing a lot of money by not having your license. And my husband worked for Dell Computer for 25 plus years. And I was working for a famous tennis player named Stan Smith, if anybody knows tennis. And we were doing really cool corporate events around major sporting events. So literally, as I was sitting in that meeting, I was getting ready to go to Greece for the Greece Olympics. So real estate was not real exciting compared to the, international travel and, Greece Olympics and things like that. So, but my husband pulled rank and he said, I have the full-time job. I have the benefits. You need to get your license. So I got my license. I was in a couples Bible study, and actually 4 of the gentlemen in that couples Bible study were all real estate agents at different companies. And so I just shared with them, okay, I have to get my license. I don't know what company, I know nothing about this, and ended up going to Keller Williams because it was the only one that would let me do this part-time. And so I joined the Keller Williams Brookhaven Market Center in Atlanta, Georgia. I think there were about 100 people, and, just loved my team leader, loved my LP, and realized, okay, my friends that know me, hey, if you guys need something, it was really casual. If you guys want to buy or sell or something, I've got my license. And that really was my attitude towards it. And a couple friends reached out. And then I realized, oh, this is fun. You're enjoying the journey. You're having fun with your friends. It just didn't seem like a job to me. And so that's kind of where my excitement built up. And I built a pretty strong business in Atlanta, Georgia. And then in 2008, my husband was transferred to Austin, Texas. So left my business behind. I actually tried to still do that for a while in Georgia. It's very hard to do 2 different markets, but if any of y'all were in business in 2008, that was probably not the best time to start your business. But for me, I saw it as opportunity, right? Because I didn't know anybody in Austin. I had 1 child at the time. I have 4 now, but I had 1 child, and I had to meet people for him. I wanted to get to know my neighbors. I had to get to know people, and I went to Keller Williams. And I just literally, the first 44 people in my database were in a townhome community I lived in. I knocked on doors, not for the business, but to get to know my neighbors. And the conversation was easy for me. Hi, we just moved here. We're from Atlanta. We wanted to get to know our neighbors. And then I put them in my database because I really believe in anything I do, whether it's production or attraction. You build that relationship, you're going to earn the business. It's so much easier, and that's authentic to who I am. And so I built my business that way. My business is 100% referral. In 2014, we had 650 agents in my market center at Keller Williams. And we went to the awards ceremony. I usually am top 10. And by the way, I would get baseball caps every year that said Capper. And that year in 2014, I was the #1 individual agent out of 650 agents. Not realizing I was going to win, but I came home that day and I told my husband I was getting out of the business. And he looked at me like I had 3 heads, and he goes, "Are you kidding? Look at what you've done." I said, we talk about at Keller Williams, and nothing negative about Keller Williams. I am incredibly grateful for my time there. And I feel like every scenario in your life is preparing you for the next chapter. And KW was definitely that for me. But I told him, I said, we talk about God, family, business, and it was all business. And God and family were somewhere below, and that wasn't okay for me. My husband traveled all the time. And so we talked about it, and he goes, well, why don't you start your own brokerage? Absolutely not. I do not want to have the liability. I don't want to be boss of anybody else. I just want to do my thing. I want to get back to the joy. And he said, well, go to any of this. Go ahead.
First off, I want to say you are so much smarter than I am. I went down that road. I thought, man, this is the pinnacle. I started my own brokerage. I left Remax, did that. And it was all ego driven, and it was such a nightmare. Guys, if you have people that you're attracting to EXP, they're saying, I want to start my own brokerage, please get them in touch with me, get them in touch with Elizabeth, because that is not the appropriate mindset. I'm telling you, it is a limited opportunity that is rarely profitable. So thank you for sharing that, Elizabeth. I want to say one other thing. So you're a transplant to Austin. How long you lived here?
Well, 08.
Since 08. So let's do the math. That's 15 years. Right on. So I've heard the y'all a couple of times. You got it down. You figured it out.
Yeah, you have to adapt to your surroundings.
I heard one the other day that I hadn't heard. I've only been in Austin for 12 years, yet I heard this one. He said, I'm from Texas. What country y'all from?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's true. We're in our own little world over here, and we're very proud of it. So yeah.
All right. So back to you, Elizabeth. Take
anyway, so I didn't want to, he goes, well, what about these other companies? Right. We have all these different companies I could go to, but it was all the same thing, right? It wasn't going to bring back the joy or bring back why I was loving this industry. And so here's what happens. People join people, and and your relationships matter. So my Atlanta crew, right? We were all super tight. They had gone, my sponsor at KW had reached out to me about a year prior, and he said, hey, I'm going to go do this thing called EXP. And I just blew him off. Okay. Because I love him to death, but he's one of those, he's just one of those kind of on to the next thing. And the timing wasn't right for me. Now, hindsight's 2020, when he called me, the stock was 10 cents. Right. So it's like, oh, but it wasn't timing for me. But anyway, fast forward, they called me again. And one of my agents that was in my downline at Keller Williams, she was like, we could work together. We were going to be a team in Atlanta. We could work together. Would you consider this? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, what are you guys doing? EXP only had 400 agents nationally at that time. Okay, my market center had more than that. And they said, hey, will you meet with somebody? And it's just like if Sean, or most people say, hey, Elizabeth, would you meet with somebody? Or hey, Sean, would you meet with somebody? There are people in your life that you don't question, well, who is it? And what is it about? And why right? You just say, sure, I'll meet with anybody. And Glenn Sanford came into Austin to meet with me. So Glenn Sanford, though, at that time, was the founder of a company that only had 400 agents. So it's nothing to what EXP is now today. But here's what happened. I sat down with Glenn, and people join people. He was so humble. He was so generous. He was so just quiet spoken, but he was incredibly brilliant. And he had the pain that I had, right? He had experienced the pain in a different way. He had a big team. And he said, well, if I was going to change the model, this is what I would do. He actually talked to me about RevShare, because I had a number of people at KW that had followed me, and I was always one of the top. I wasn't a recruiter. People just followed me. But it was another job. And I told Glenn Sanford, I'm not interested in RevShare. Now, he laughs now because I have changed my tune. But I did tell him in that meeting, I'm not interested in RevShare. And he showed me the Stefan Swanepoel trend report, and it said Amazon.com of real estate. Watch EXP. And that's when I said, what if I'd known about Amazon way back when, right? And then you always have that other drunk monkey that says, well, what if it doesn't work? But just like in 2008, I'm like, there is opportunity here. I said, okay, well, what if it does work? And if it doesn't work, I can go back to any of these other companies because they need me, or start my own brokerage. But I wanted to get back to the basics again. And I wanted to get back to enjoying this real estate, this journey that I was on. And so I joined the company. I was agent 466. Now, backing up though, I also believe in seeking wise counsel. And I couldn't talk to just anybody. I actually talked to my team leader from Georgia. He told me I was crazy. Fast forward, he just joined us last September and he's on fire after watching me for 7.5 years. Okay. So don't give up on people, but I had to find somebody that because I'd only been at KW. I did not know anything about anything. And so this is just a reminder to all of you, you don't have to know everything, but you pull in the people that can help support you and can help elevate you and help, help seek wise counsel. So I went to my old team leader who had retired in Austin. And I said, I need to talk to you. I need your guidance. I need you to tell me I'm crazy and not to do something. Because I was kind of like KW's poster child, right? Because I did the attraction, I did the production. And he's like, sure. So we met in a Starbucks in the back of a Barnes and Noble. So nobody would find us, right? Nobody ever goes there. And that person was Gene Frederick. And people always tell me, oh my gosh, you recruited Gene Frederick. I approached Gene because I had the relationship with Gene. He respected me. I was one of his top producers. And I earned that relationship with Gene for many, many years because of who I was as a person and as a business person, right? So if I was just a brand new agent and I hadn't really invested in that relationship, I don't know that Gene would have ever taken my call. So, but I said, I need your help. And so Gene and I sat down and he was like, this is interesting. And we actually looked at the model for 5 months. He met with, I met with Jason Guessing at the time. I said, hey, I need you to meet with this guy. He's the president. Ask the questions that I don't know. And I called Gene the next day because Gene never called me. And he's like, oh, we're playing basketball. I'm talking to, I'll talk to you later. And all of a sudden I'm like, whoa. And so Gene called me. He goes, hey, we're going to do this. And I was like, what do you mean we're going to do this? And he said, I'm in. He goes, I'm bored and I'm uninspired. And so let's do this together. So that's how we found out about EXP. That's how I found out about EXP. That's how we got Gene Frederick on board. And the rest is kind of history, but it was it's been a lot of hard work. That first next week will be 1 year. 8 years that I've been at EXP, 8 years. So it's been a huge labor of love, I guess you could say, but it was a lot of hard work. And so that's why it's fun now because we're proven and it's a lot easier to have those conversations. But if you take it back to production, my first year at EXP, my first full year, we had 2,000 agents. I was #1 individual nationwide. My second year at EXP, we had 5,000 agents. I was #1 nationwide out of 5,000 agents. And I had to step back and go, I'm still that same person, but my environment has changed. The model has changed and it catapulted my business. And so for me, it's always asking questions and talking to people to figure out what's important to them. Because if Glenn just talked to me about rev share, I think the story could have been a little bit different.
No doubt about that. So, and you're still heavily in production. Last year you closed what, 37, 39 million in total sales volume personally?
Yeah, I did 37 million last year, 100% referral. This quarter alone, I'm probably, if everything closes in May, like I think it should, I'll probably be at 12 or 15 already.
Congratulations, Elizabeth. That is winning. Love it when you're winning. So
Yeah.
let's fast forward to today. Okay. And let's talk about revenue share. How many people in your organization at EXP now?
That's a very good question. Let me tell you, I have 71 on my front line that were all relationships. I never called any of those people. I stay in production, y'all, and everybody does this differently. Okay. You got to figure out who you are and what's true to you. I stay in production because that's my attraction. If I'm in conversations with these top agents and people are watching me, then it makes the conversation a lot easier and they all come to me. So I have 71. I'm going to show you my numbers right now. I have 71 FLAs, 40 FLQAs. My entire revenue. Ooh, this is cool. My entire revenue share organization is 11,191.
Guys, that doesn't suck, does it? And it's all based on relationships. That's it. And same thing with the real estate practice. So that's what I love about this format, by the way, is because, Elizabeth, there's your way of doing things. There's Sean's way of doing things. And I think the way of doing things, it doesn't exist. And we can learn from each other. That's what I love about a mastermind format, right? Napoleon Hill coined that term so many years ago. Many of you heard me say this before, yet Napoleon said that when 2 or more minds come together seeking a positive solution to a situation, challenge, or question, that a third mind is created. And he referenced that being the mastermind. See, all of us are smarter than just one of us. Speaking of smart people, Sean Policino, one of our coaches here at Icon, go ahead, buddy, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. Elizabeth, what would you say to people that have a limiting belief, because I believe it's a limiting belief, that you had to get in early, otherwise you've missed that opportunity? And I think it's an old MLM, multi-level marketing kind of thought process, but that the growth, that there isn't going to be the growth that there was in the beginning.
Yeah. I actually get that question a lot, and I love that because, like I said, at the very beginning, it was very hard. And if you talk to Glenn, he'll tell you that he didn't really think we were going to make it until late 2018. Right. And so I think, there's those people, if you look at it from like new construction, there's those people that go into a new construction and they see all just the dirt and they have the vision. But then there's those people that want to actually go see a model home and they need to be able to feel and see something before they'll participate in it. But then you've got other people that, okay, I want to see all the frame work done before I'll move forward. And then you have the people that want to have the finished product before they'll ever make a decision, right? You've just got to figure out what kind of person you're talking to, because everybody will win, but the person that just came in with the dirt is going to do a little bit better. Over time, though, that equity builds in that new construction home that somebody bought. So if you look at EXP, we're proven now. Back then we weren't. Everybody thought we were nuts and we just had head down and we were grinding. But now we're publicly traded. We're a Fortune 700 company. We're innovating in ways that nobody's ever innovated in the entire industry. EXPI owns a whole bunch of different companies. We're not just owners in one aspect of real estate. So if the real estate market adjusts, well, but that's awesome because we're also owners of Success. We're owners of Verbella. We're owners of all these other things. And so what I tell people is we are proven and we're growing super quick. We went from 400 to 87,000 agents. Look at Keller Williams. Keller Williams has what, 180,000 agents? We're just getting started. So I tell people this is the time to be a part of it. We have a lot more resources. We have a lot more training. We have a lot more amazing, brilliant minds that are pouring into each other because we all own this company. And when you own something, you treat it differently than when you're renting your career. Any other company that they're at, they're renting their career. And so I just talk to people and understand, okay, why do you think that you've missed that opportunity? Opportunity comes in different stages, but we're only 87,000 agents. There's almost 1.7 million in the US alone and 6 million worldwide. We only have a teeny tiny piece of the puzzle and we're not stopping anytime soon. And we've got a visionary who just stepped back as CEO to bring even more value and to move the needle further.
Additionally, there's about 300,000 new licensees every single year. So
Yeah.
you've heard us say before, the best time to plant a tree, guys, well, sure, it was 20 years ago, yet the second best time is right now. It's today. See, I believe that the largest revenue share earner at EXP has yet to even join our company. You with me?
I agree with that. Yeah.
The opportunity is massive and it's renewable. It's not a scarcity mindset. It's an abundance mindset. Guys, it's a global expansion effort. It's 24 countries right now.
Well, we're also looking for people that are looking for us, and we're very, very entrepreneurial, right? And so I want to be in business with people that are excited about this. And I was trying to convince everybody for a long time. No, this is a great place. You need to be a part of this. But then I recognize not everybody's a fit for us and we're not a fit for everybody else. So if you keep hitting that roadblocks and they don't see the value, and I invite people to things all the time. I invite them to masterminds. I invite them to training. I tell them, I'm like, come experience our culture, come experience our company, because I can tell you all day long, but it's much more powerful and impactful if I show you.
Undoubtedly. Okay. So let's talk about the 4 categories that we must focus on to build a sustainable revenue share organization. I call this, guys, the 4 R's, right? It's number 1 is recruiting. Number 2 is retention. 3rd is revenue or per agent production. And finally, we get to reproduction to get the agents that you've attracted to align with EXP, to improve their knowledge, skills, mindset, habits, so they can go out and build their own revenue share group under your umbrella. So given the 4 categories, Elizabeth, again, it's recruiting, retention, revenue, or reproduction. Where do you think that you really shine? I mean, what is your strong suit?
I'm a connector. I feel like, some of the people in Austin probably know this. I'm like little mother hen in Austin, I feel like. I don't really look at organizations or who's in whose line. I just see us all as one family and we all win together. And so my superpower, I think, in all that encompasses all 4 of those, is connecting no matter what you're needing. And so I do this because, I mean, Sean, you know, there's a bunch of us that we do this because this company has changed our lives and we love doing this. We don't need to do what we're doing, but I'm doing events all the time. I'm having masterminds all the time. We're bringing in different people all the time. And so that helps with, you know, all the attraction piece. Lunch and learns don't work for me in my personality. Some people, I mean, Pat Hayes is one of my dearest friends and he kills it with lunch and learns. That's just not who I am, right? I'm not going to respond that way. And I don't think people are going to respond to me in that way because I'm going to have that limiting mindset. However, if I can do events where it's production based and I can have agents bring in their guests, that's a recruiting tool that works differently than some of the other ones, right? And not that one's right or over the other one, but you have different ways that you can do this. So it helps not only on recruiting, it helps on the retention, it helps on production, it helps on every aspect of this business. And I always think about, I'm an owner of this company. I want to be in business with the best of the best of the best. And in order to do that, I need to rise to that level and I need to lift others as I climb and show them what's possible. And so in all four areas, I'm just a connector in whatever's needed.
Love it, Elizabeth. Great response. Jack, Ty, I see your hand is up. Take it away.
Hello, thank you so much. Elizabeth, I have two quick questions. One of which would be, you mentioned about events. So after the production event, how do you connect that to them, like having the EXP conversation? And secondly, you mentioned you're still in like big production. For me, I feel like I am juggling through meeting clients, talking to agents, and also like getting on Zooms. I'm very packing my schedule. So how do you arrange that?
Yeah, good question. The first one, well, let's talk about schedule. Schedule, you have to be in control of your schedule because you can have your schedule completely control you, and then I'm out of whack. So I've had to set boundaries and limits. And if you open your account and time block, I was never good at time blocking, but when I have 4 children, you know, and a big business and agents and things like that, what I started doing is I have 3 days where I will have third-party validation calls. I spend most of my time on third-party validation calls, you know, during the day, but 3 times during the week where, okay, they know that they can have a call set at certain times and I have a Calendly link. Okay. I block off, and I used to not do this. I block off after a certain time, which that's only family time, because I want my family to understand that they are super important to me. And if there's some reason where I'm having to work late that day, they give me a little bit more grace. But you just have to set boundaries, say, okay, I'm going to have my client meet. Clients move around and all, but I also am controlling my clients now. I'm available at Tuesday at 9 or Thursday at 4. They don't need to know that 3 o'clock I'm picking up my kids, right? But I'm going to control that schedule, whether it's a client, whether it's an agent, whether it's a recruiting call. Now, as far as the events and how I connect with agents, I will never, and I'm going to say never because this is just not who I am. I will never just pick up a phone and call an agent and say, hey, do you want to talk about EXP? I'm not saying it doesn't work. It just doesn't work for me. I've never done that with my business. I've never picked up a call and called, or a phone and picked up and called a client, right? So I'm out of my element in that regard, but I'll build that relationship. So for example, earlier this week, I had coffee with an agent that I love it when people connect me. So if I have, and use your vendors, okay, use your lenders or your home inspector. Like my lender, I called him the other day and I said, a couple weeks ago, I need your help. I send a ton of clients your way, ton of people your way. Who do I need to know? And I said, you know me well enough. Who do I need to know? And who needs to know me? And can you connect us on text and say, oh my gosh, you guys should grab coffee together. I do much better that way. And then I can take it and run with it. So I'm utilizing my vendor relationships to set me up with people that I don't know yet, that I should be knowing. In Austin, especially, a lot of people are talking to a lot of people. So I don't really attract here in Austin much because I want everybody else to be able to do that. But I'll have people connect me all over the place. And I had a call this morning with somebody who's outside of Houston and said, hey, I'd like you to talk to somebody. So use your vendor relationships to do that. For the events, all the events are production based. We do not talk about EXP. Okay. But what I'll do after that is I'll follow up with the people I want. I'm like, oh my gosh, Jack, I am so glad you came to the event. I would love to grab coffee and see what you thought and see what you're going to do to implement into your business. I took a ton of notes. Maybe we can compare notes. And I'll sit down and we will talk about our business. But the other day, all of a sudden, I'm asking tons of questions and I caught on to a pebble in their shoe. And I figured out why she wasn't happy. And then I kept asking questions and we completely turned the conversation, you know, that direction. And so now I found out she is looking to make a move, and I've created curiosity. And I said, oh my gosh, we don't have time to talk about this all today. Let's set another time. And I'd love to talk EXP later, but let's focus on the things we're focused here. I put it off. She sent me out today going, oh my gosh, I can't stop thinking about what we're talking about. When can we meet? Right. So I don't go into those meetings talking about EXP. I'm just adding value. They see my business is blowing up. They see that we're all community, we're all connected. They don't have that culture, and their market centers and their environments aren't doing what we're doing. And I just assumed everybody knew what we were doing. And I realized that I was wrong. So ask a lot of questions, but again, build that relationship. Don't go in saying, hey, do you want to talk about EXP? Because they don't want to talk about EXP. They want to talk about themselves. They want to talk about their business, and they want to figure out how they can do better on the business side, and you can add value there.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much.
That is rock solid. And as you saw Jack demonstrate and several others, guys, to ask Elizabeth a question, all you have to do is move your mouse down to the bottom of your screen. You're going to see a little reactions icon there. Go ahead and click on that. Let's all practice this right now. And when you click on that, you see a new little window appears that says raise hand. You can click that, raise your hand, ask your question. Guys, she's got over 11,000 people in her revenue share organization. We've got her for a short period of time. Now is the time. And by the way, many of you say, well, I don't want to ask a question because maybe it's a stupid question. See,
and I don't have all the right answers. I just have the answers that work for me. So I want to say something and you're like, that's stupid, and that's fine, but let's all share. That's how we get better.
That's exactly right. See, the only stupid question is the one that you don't ask, guys. That's
Exactly.
all right, so DJ, we're going to go over to you.
If I could unmute myself, that would be good. My question, Elizabeth, is what kind of events are you using? What kind have been successful for you?
Yeah, great question. So before COVID, I started doing this just because everybody was talking about culture, and we're there's no brick and mortar and virtual. And I'm like, we have more culture here than I ever did at my market center. So I started doing things before COVID called AHA Club, Agents Helping Agents. And I was doing that in Austin. After COVID, we stopped for a while, and then there was a bigger demand. So we relaunched it after COVID, but we do Agents Helping Agents. We do it once a month, and it's all about consistency. So I rent out the Austin Board of Realtors. I rent a room, and we pick a different topic. It's production based. Sean has come in. He usually comes in at the end of the year for me, and he'll do like business planning for the coming year. But I will teach, but I'm only one voice and I'm only one style. So I want to bring in other experts and other people doing big things in their business. And so it was open to all EXP agents. I don't care whose line you're in. I don't care if you're purple or green or whatever. We're all one family. And you can bring guests. So people were inviting guests. What's happened is people are recognizing the value in this. And now AHA clubs are jumping up all over the country. And it's really, really cool. So we have in Workplace, there's a group called AHA Club Organizers. Join that group if you'd like. It has topics, it has logos, it has everything that you want in there, and it just lays out a blueprint. And then what happens is we're all jumping from place to place, and we're teaching and we're helping each other build. And I'm going to do a mastermind in there so we know where all the AHA clubs, and then you can plug in your agents that are in those market center, in those market areas, and you're adding value even if you're not in that market, right? So AHA clubs have been really, really good. We do those once a month. I used to not charge, but then we have lenders and people that'll bring lunch, and then people wouldn't show up. So I have to have some skin in the game. So I make everybody pay $10 on an Eventbrite, and then they show up, and everybody masterminds that way. Then I've got a new agent mastermind coming up at ABOR in person May 1st. I'm having somebody come in that's going to do a CE luxury training at the end of May. And the reason I'm doing these, not because I need them, but it's an opportunity, an excuse to invite other people. Why am I doing a CE luxury training course? Because I want to invite all the I want to invite all the luxury agents around Austin that aren't with EXP yet. I want to get in communication and relationship with those that I don't know. So do them consistently. We're doing one once a quarter as well. So that's my approach, and it works really well. But the AHA Club is only 11 to 1 each month, and it's super easy to do, and a lot of people are getting lots of responses from it.
Yeah, Elizabeth, I want to say one thing about that. See, you invited me to come and speak at your AHA Club before I was even with the EXP. See, what a great way to attract people that are out there, teaching other realtors how to do this as well.
Yeah.
You do
And I started putting on, because I want to showcase our agents, our EXP agents. But what I'll do now is I'll have like panels. And maybe if there's somebody I really want to showcase, because people aren't putting their agents on panels, right? I'm giving them an opportunity. Jarek Robbins, if you guys know him, he's president of Success. He's also Tony Robbins' son. He happened to be in Texas and he goes, what can we do? And I threw an event together and he came and talked about breathing and all these other things. And I packed a room with, over 100 top agents, invitation only. And I got into conversations. Be creative and think of people you can bring in, because I can come speak in Austin, but if I go speak in New Braunfels, let's say something outside Texas, New Orleans, all of a sudden I'm an expert in a different way and it's a bigger draw. So think of who you can collaborate with and bring into your market to teach or share or participate in an event.
Yeah, just remember, if they travel more than 100 miles to get to the destination to present, they're automatically deemed an expert on the subject.
Exactly.
All right, Rizwana, over to you.
Hey, Elizabeth, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. All right. So here's a question. I'm talking to like a business partner of the broker who owns the brokerage, independent. And so like he's on board, his partner is like not on board. So I was trying to get them into like a three-way call with like a VP at EXP or like one of my uplines. And it's like this guy that I'm talking to, there's like 40 agents in his brokerage. The guy that I'm talking to, he's like not letting me, but like not giving me the opportunity to talk to his partner. He's like, oh, let me talk to him. And he's like not talking to him because I know, because I've done deals with both of them. Anyway, like, how would you have that conversation? Because the one partner is like, yes, this makes sense. And I'm very intrigued with stocks. And as long as this can do something for my 40 agents, I'm in. But then it's like, how do you move that conversation forward? Trying to talk to his partner without like stepping on his toes, and not going around him.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't go around him
Yeah.
because you don't want to get in the middle of that, because that could go south. But you just need to keep asking questions and find the pebble in their shoe and create curiosity. Brokers are hard. I will give you an example where I had a broker that he was an independent. He was in College Station, Texas, which is a little Texas town. He did 1.2, 1.6 billion in 8 years, which is unheard of. And I've been friends with him, so I thought that was kind of an in. And I kept talking to him, but I was talking to him about the wrong things. I talked to him for 4 years and I thought I understood what his pain point was, but I missed it. And it wasn't until I started watching a little bit closer and realized he was trying to expand. And I reached out and I said, we have your solution. And he goes, what do you mean? Now, when I figured out the solution, because he was happy and he was content and his agents were content. But then when I found out what the solution was for his one little pebble, then it opened the door again. And I explained to him, I was like, look, you want to expand, you have an opportunity to bring your agents to the table, right? You give them a seat at the table and look at what this could do and change their lives. But you're going to have to go through your relationship with the one that you have right now and keep showing him, because he's going to have the most, in my opinion, he's going to have the most impact on the partner. The partner just doesn't have enough pain yet, or he doesn't understand. And to be fair, I understand what you're going through. My mom's in the same situation. My mother is a broker and has a partner in Wyoming, and she's not at EXP, which is crazy. But it's because she's all in and her partner is not. And so she just said he has to feel more pain. And at some point he's going to want to quit taking all the calls. He's going to want to quit having all the liability. He's going to want to quit, having all of his time spent with his brokerage and not his family. You just have to kind of chip away at that slowly through the other person, in my opinion.
Yeah, because that's what I'm thinking too. Just keep building that relationship. Just keep talking to him. I might have a deal with his partner, because like you, production is my attraction as well. And that's how I got connected to this guy. You know what I mean? So, okay, I'm just going to keep
invite them
Yeah.
to all sorts of things and invite their agents.
Right.
I mean, here's the thing. If their agents aren't getting the value there and you're inviting them and they're seeing value there and they start hearing that chatter between, or they start losing agents to EXP, I'm not saying go recruit their agents. I'm just saying invite them to show what the value and the opportunity is with EXP. It could change the game from the inside out.
Right, because I did research their, production and like in their brokers, they have like maybe 3 or 5 people who are like killing it, right? And then the rest are not. So I think that's where he was like, as long as it does something for my agents, like, we'll talk. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Just keep inviting, build that relationship, and eventually, hopefully, I'll get to talk to the other partner because I think that's really the key point.
Would your one guy talk to run numbers with one of the VPs?
I tried to do that with him, but he's just like, I don't have the time because he's a super producing agent himself. But I think it's just like, well, I have to talk to my partner first. So I tried that route, with the VP. I even talked to one of the VPs, and he was like, yeah, he was like, give him the Google sheet, and we can do comparison. He's like, just get him on the call with me, and we could just compare numbers to numbers. That's it.
Yeah,
We're not gonna convince him to come. It's just comparing apples to apples. That's all.
Yeah, I would send that Google sheet over and I would just say, you know what, when you have time, fill this out. It'll be interesting to see what the numbers look like, and just put it there and dangle that carrot. But just stay in relationship. But again, I'd invite to everything that you have going on.
Okay, perfect.
100%.
Thanks
By
so
the way,
much.
we do have a little tiny event coming up in Orlando, right, guys? It's shareholders. If you haven't registered, I would encourage you to make that happen and invite your candidates to attend as well. And by the way, I want to commend all of you because many of you are in action with everything that you learn. Now, the difference between extraordinary success and below average results is merely speed of implementation. See, Elizabeth, when you brought up the AHA Club on Workplace, I logged in immediately where there were 386 members. You're already up to 401. So who's going to be the 402nd member, right? Just because of you guys getting into action quickly, effectively. Now, a couple of questions popped up in the chat. Okay, first off, are these sessions recorded? 1,000%, and there's a full library of content. Guys, it's on YouTube. I posted the link to our YouTube channel. Please follow us. You'll be notified every time that we post a video like this, and there are many others that we post along the way. I'd encourage you to make that happen. By the way, if you're not so good at navigating YouTube, just go to iconcoaching.com. Go to the events tab, go to Attraction and Action Mastermind. You click that, there's a web form so you can register to attend this call. Yet if you scroll down, look for Don't Miss a Thing, click that button, and you're going to see hundreds of replays of EXP masterminds, attraction masterminds with some of the top guys, people like Gene Frederick, Brent Gove, Rob Flick. I mean, Elizabeth Riley's a great example, right? Jeff and Amanda Whitespear were on a couple of weeks ago. Great people with great information. So next, first off, event promotion. Let's talk a little bit about this because the bottom line is you can have the best speaker, you can have the best content in the world, yet if nobody knows about it, well, what's the point? So Elizabeth, how are you promoting these events? How are you getting over 100 agents showing up every time you do it? Talk to me.
Well, I don't get that many every single time. It just depends on the topic, right? And I think whoever's in the room is supposed to be in that room. If I have 5 people in there, we're going to do the event just as much as we are if there's 100 people, right? So for event promotion, I mean, it's been kind of a trial and error. And don't worry about getting it perfect, right? It's just failing forward, and it's always a work in progress for us. So Workplace, I utilize Workplace a lot. Now, I'm very much in contact with my front line. Very much in contact with my front line and a lot of my second line. I love on them, and because I want that to cascade out to everybody out. I want to make sure they're in production. I want to make sure they're in the know. And so I'm making sure all of them know about the events that are coming up so they can cascade out that to everybody else. And I'm also trying to get them to really plug into Workplace, because a lot of groups were doing things on Facebook, but Glenn Sanford specifically asked a bunch of the leaders saying, look, I want you guys to bring your groups and utilize Workplace. And I don't know about you, but if Glenn Sanford asks me to do something, I'm absolutely going to do it because I'm incredibly grateful to this man. So Workplace is what I'm trying to push. I have created a couple different groups. We have Austin Metro Group in Austin. And so we post that there. We do Eventbrite links there. We have Austin Connect and Austin Social Club. So I post everything in there, trying to get as much as we can. But then over time, I've actually saved all the emails. I have a VA that we had the VA go in and get emails from ABOR, Austin Board of Realtors. And so I have different groups and different links set up depending on what the topic is for AHA clubs. So I can send it to everybody in EXP Texas if I want, which I'm not going to, because not everybody from Texas is going to, but I do post it in Texas State Group, because if they have their agents in Austin or near Austin, then I want them to be able to let people know that as well. I have people every single month, like clockwork, drive in from Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas just for our AHA clubs. Next May, I don't know if you guys know who Suman Kim is. Man, this guy's been less than 2.5. He's not even in my organization. He's been less than 2.5 years in the business, came from California, knew nobody, took up with YouTube. And last year, I think he did 80 million in production just from building out YouTube and his social reach there. So I have him coming in May, right? Now, I used to have a hard time getting the icons in, but now I can give them icon points. And so now it's a lot easier for that conversation. So figure out what the topic is. Now with Suman in our market, everybody knows who he is, whether they're EXP or not. So for that event, I'm going to make sure other people outside of EXP are invited to it. And so I just have different contact lists depending on what the topic is, and we push it out that way. But I utilize Workplace quite a bit. I don't put a lot of social media. I have my Instagram page, but I'm not real big on social media, so I don't leverage that as much. But it just depends on where you can't over promote it. The more people that see it, the better your results are going to be.
So powerful. Great stuff. All right. Other questions for Elizabeth?
I got a question.
Fire away.
Hi, Chuck.
Hi, Elizabeth. How are you?
Oh my gosh, y'all, I got to tell a story about Chuck Keller. I brag about him all the time. Okay. So when I joined EXP, there's 400 and something agents, right? One of the things that catapulted my business, I just told this story this morning, Chuck. I wanted to get into luxury. And so when I left when I left KW, I branded myself Lux Property Group because I wanted that perception that I was in luxury. Okay. I knew nothing about luxury. And so I got in, and I remember Chuck and Doug were teaching luxury. And I'm like, well, shoot, these Beverly Hill boys know what they're talking about. And it was just the power of the collaboration. I learned so much from them because why did they open their playbooks, right? Number one, we're not competition. We're Texas. Well, now he's Florida and California. You're fancy. Number two, most people don't do what you tell them to do anyway. And number three, if I win, they win because we're all owners of this company. So anyway, it's just leveraging the people and the talent around this country is such a value add. But Chuck, I was just telling that story this morning. One of my dearest friends. Hi. Okay, go ahead.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good. Listen, I got a question. Couple questions. One is, I know some of your schedule. In fact, yesterday I was talking to somebody, and she said she's going to be in New York speaking May 9th. Why don't you come up here? And so I know a lot of what you do, which is all over the place. But one is, how do you stay motivated? Because let's be honest, it's a lot going on. We're bombarded in all kinds of directions. How do you stay motivated? And then number two, how do you keep your sanity for, like, with your mother, that you know this is what they should do? Or how do you keep your sanity with especially your frontline agents, that you see them and you really know they'd be amazing at attracting, and yet they're just not focused on it or picking up on it, and they say they want to, but what do you say to them? Yeah.
Good question. So how do I stay motivated is a good question, because sometimes we all have our good days and our bad days. I'm very much in production, but then I've had people believe in me and asking me to come speak all over the country. And that's given me this, I'm scared to death every single time I do it, but I know that I have people in my corner that aren't going to let me fail. Right. I mean, Chuck, you're one of those people for me. Like, you and I've had conversations when we're both being beat down or something. I can just pick up the phone and call you. So having people in your corner is great, but the motivation is we own this company, and to see what we're doing. And I'm watching that we're all going forward while these other companies, Encompass and everybody else, are going backwards. It is super fun for me to be a part of it, and to see the stories and the lives that are being changed by just even one person coming underneath somebody, where they're like, it paid my MLS dues, something like that. It can be so significant. That's the stuff that keeps me motivated. Money does not motivate me at all. I'm out of it's not about income for me. It's about impact. And so that's what gets me excited. But yeah, it gets a little draining at times. But when I'm at these events, it just fills my cup again, because you're surrounded by this energy and everybody's happy. I'm not surrounded by the doom and gloom and, oh, the market's bad. I'm like, no, we're all winning in different ways. So that's how I stay motivated. And just the people in this company are amazing. My mom makes me crazy, but I realized that, but she makes me crazy for many reasons. I just can't dwell on that. Right. I mean, I spent so much time trying to convince her and her team. I brought her to EXPCon and everything. And I just realized it's not timing for her. And then I need to focus on people that are looking for me and that are excited about it. As far as my front line, I've got 40 FLQAs, which I was dropped down to 35, and it's hard because I see the potential in them, whether it's attraction or production. Production, Sean has helped me out a ton. I had a bunch of newer agents because I feel like I can help all the new agents, right? But I'm only one person. But Sean's coaching was awesome. I plugged them all into Sean's coaching. Now it backfired a little bit because they didn't have skin in the game. So now anytime I do that, they have to have some skin in the game, right? Because you can't want something for somebody more than they want it for themselves. And I was wanting it too much for them. But Sean, he plugged them into their 16-week coaching program, which they weren't coming to me. Sorry, Sean, they were coming to him. But there's value add there, right? And so if I'm watching, and I have strategy calls with everybody on my front line. So it is 70, but if I can figure out, okay, what's your goal? What are you trying to do? How can I help you? And that's where my connecting abilities comes in. I'm like, okay. And then I made a list. Sean, how many did I have? Like 30 of them?
Yeah,
I'm
about
like,
30 people that you paid for to take Accelerated Breakthrough, which is launching live again, by the way, on May 2nd. So you paid for it. And yet when they don't have skin in the game, you're right.
But a lot of them took so much value, and I would see them get into production. I think once they start seeing that and feeling that success, then they get excited and they want to do more and be more and plug in. But I tell them, you have to show up and plug in or you're not going to be successful. Same thing with attraction, right? You've got to, I tell people, quit listening about what everybody's doing to be, Gene, I adore Gene, obviously. And Brent, I love them. But that is not the norm. Okay, you're not going to be a Gene or a Brent. And if you try to be a Gene or a Brent, people are going to see right through it. People don't want to, everybody wants to buy, but nobody wants to be sold. So figure out who you are. And what I'm doing with mine is I'm figuring out in their goals, who wants to attract? Okay, I want to attract, I would love to have one person, but I don't know how to do it. Okay, let's figure that out. And then I can be more strategic with them. And then I can step in and say, okay, who do you know? I'm fine calling people for other people. I'm not going to call people for me, but if I saw, if I'm talking to you and I'm like, oh my gosh, Sean, Chuck Keller and I were talking the other day and he was raving about you. And I'm surprised we haven't interacted together, and I would love to get to know you a little bit better. And I can do that for Chuck, right? And so I do that a lot for my agents, but they have to be in the Zoom calls. They have to be a part of it, and they have to help follow up, or I'm not going to do it for them. My goal this year is to get my FLQAs to 55, and then each of my frontline to have 3. I think if they have 1, 2, or 3, it's going to change their game. And then they're going to recognize what the opportunity is that they're not taking advantage of.
Thank you.
It's a business.
Well, Chuck, thanks for the question. And by the way, Chuck, you and Doug are killing it. How many in your group right now?
1,650.
Congratulations, bud. Way to go. Keep
so
going, man. Keep going. And I have the pleasure of coaching with Chuck and Doug on a weekly basis. And it's just so much fun to watch them grow, watch them stretch, watch them implement and deploy new strategies and tactics to attract agents. So way to go, guys. Keep it going. Keep it going. All right. So guys, we are sadly out of time, yet Elizabeth, my goodness, you just added so much value. I don't know if you've been following the chat, but people saying this is a great call. We're gonna get the replay and all of that. So guys, just keep showing up week after week. Elizabeth, any final parting thoughts, words of wisdom that you want to share with the group?
No, just be you and lean into any of us that can help you, right? I mean, I love talking to agents for other agents, and but you have to just make sure the timing's right and don't get discouraged, whether it's production. We're at the best company in the world, y'all, and you all own it. I mean, there's nothing better than that. So if I can ever help you guys, please use me as a resource. Sean, I'm blessed that you asked me to be here. This is really fun because we're all doing this together.
Well, thank you for being here, Elizabeth. All right, guys, we do it every week. So I want you to show up again next week and the week after that, and the week after that, just time block the time, treat it like a $2 million listing opportunity, because being here, getting new nuggets, ideas, strategies, guys, it's going to bring you tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars over the course of your career. So until we talk again next week, gang, just be on purpose, be productive, and as always, be powerful. Talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.